It's May 9th, 2025, 75 years after the release of L. Ron Hubbard's book, Dianetics, the Modern Science of Mental Health. Where does Scientology and Dianetics, where does it sit today, 75 years later? Stick around and stay tuned. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mark Fisher, the channel Scientology Peeling the Onion. And I'm doing a short video here. Today is May 9th, 2025, and it's the 75th anniversary of the book, Dianetics, the Modern Science of Mental Health. L. Ron Hubbard released it on May 9th, 1950, and it became a national and international bestseller for many, many, many years, translated into many languages, and became a phenomenon at the time. And it began the start of Dianetics, Book One auditing, and then eventually Scientology, Scientology auditing, Scientology training, Scientology organizations, and Scientology expanded, over the years, all through the 1950s, the 1960s, the 1970s, all the way up until L. Ron Hubbard's death in 1986. And L. Ron Hubbard always meant for Dianetics to be the pathway into Scientology. That book was the most important dissemination tool that Scientologists were supposed to use. And so I thought we'd take a look back and see, where are we 75 years later after the release of Dianetics, the Modern Science of Mental Health. That's the first book that my dad bought in 1973 in a drugstore in paperback form. You could find the book around at that time period, and that's what got him interested and involved in Scientology. So what happened during this time period? Do you see Dianetics anywhere? I don't see it anywhere in any bookstore. You don't see any advertising for it. You don't see anything regarding it. Hubbard died in 1986, appeared on the scene for the first time ever at the death event for L. Ron Hubbard in January 1986, David Miscavige. And this is what he looked like at the time. And he then, took over for L. Ron Hubbard and Scientology. And where has he taken it over this time period? The first thing I wanted everybody to know is that David Miscavige was no L. Ron Hubbard. He did not have the charisma or the intellect in order to be able to continue the Scientology movement, Scientology cult, Scientology religion, whatever you want to call it. Dianetics is no longer anywhere to be seen. There were very successful Dianetics campaigns on television headed up by Jefferson Hawkins. And in the 1980s, television ads all over, and it sold lots of Dianetics books, which then resulted in lots of people getting into Scientology. Where are those now? They're nowhere to be seen. Scientology is shrinking, and Dianetics is nowhere to be found. Where did it go? There's no more public lectures. A main feeder into Scientology was L. Ron Hubbard himself giving lectures to public on Dianetics, or on the introduction to Scientology or communication or anything like that. Janice's father, Peter Gillum, and many other speakers would also do introductory lectures to get people into Scientology and into Dianetics. They no longer exist. Now, instead, if somebody walks into a Scientology organization, which is mostly empty, they're sat down in front of a video screen and they're told to watch a video about Scientology and about why they should get involved in Scientology. There's no personal interaction. There's nothing. It's basically watch this and hopefully they're going to be able to get involved in Scientology. Those no longer exist. I'm mainly sending this message out so everybody knows to people who are still involved in Scientology, okay, who may see this and wonder, well, what happened all these years, 75 years later? Okay, I'm not saying whether or not it's good to be in Scientology or bad, because we all know that there's a lot of abuses involved. But I'm really speaking to the Scientologists that are still out there. There's no Dianetics anymore. There is no Book One anymore anywhere in any stores. There's no public lectures anymore to get people involved in Scientology, which was one of the main feeder lines into Scientology at the time. And instead, there's protests out in front of many of the test centers in order to close them down. L. Ron Hubbard's Technology of Scientology, these are the technical volumes that were put out by him. And this contained his, Hubbard Communication Office bulletins, which contain the auditing technology and training technology of Scientology. How do you know after all these years that it's still the same? David Miscavige keeps coming out and saying, oh, there were these typographical errors. Oh, there were these things that were done. And we have a golden age of technology or a golden age of administrative technology. You have no way of knowing if that's true or not. David Miscavige could just be dreaming up things himself on his own. He had no intellect. He was no researcher like Hubbard in terms of his auditing technology. That was Hubbard that was doing that, and the people that worked for Hubbard. Miscavige never had that training, and he never had that experience. So how can you trust what's been put out? Even in those caves that they've got all over the United States in case of a nuclear catastrophe, where all of the Hubbard's technology is, quote unquote, put on titanium plates underground for future civilizations in case this planet gets blown up. You have no way of knowing if that technology that's being put in there is actual L. Ron Hubbard's, because David Miscavige has had almost 45 years to change it any way that he wants to. And we do know that he has changed the technology of L. Ron Hubbard. Auditing, the main counseling that gets done in Scientology, has changed since the golden age of technology as announced by David Miscavige, where he defined a floating needle differently than where L. Ron Hubbard had it. And it became an arbitrary in terms of whether or not somebody was done with a auditing process as to whether or not their needle was floating and if they had the proper end phenomena, resulting in many people having to get corrections and correction auditing and spend lots of extra money and not make any case gain. That's been changed by David Miscavige. That's not L. Ron Hubbard who did that. That's David Miscavige. And I know many of you longtime Scientologists who may be watching this know that that was a major change for the worse. It's not valid anymore. He's changed things, and he's not L. Ron Hubbard, if that's what you're thinking. What's left? Rich donors, rich donations from rich Scientologists who basically are arm twisted to donate millions and millions of dollars into Scientology's war chest in order to get these big trophies and recognition. Scientology keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller in terms of the number of people that are involved in Scientology, and yet these people keep giving more and more money. They have reportedly given over billions of dollars into Scientology's war chest, which David Miscavige then uses to buy real estate all over the world to show that we are expanding. Miscavige comes out there and gives these briefings, international briefings several times a year, and basically makes up the statistics and the production that supposedly is going on and the expansion that's going on in Scientology, when it's all false. All you have to do is go to any of these ideal organizations and walk in right now, and you will see that they are empty. Ones that have been there for several years, they're just empty. The parking lot's empty. There's nobody there. It's just a piece of messed, as we call it in Scientology, a building that has value to it in terms of its real estate value, but it has no value in terms of delivering Scientology and Dianetics. That's not what's left. What's left is David Miscavige twisting the arms of these people to get donations, not delivering Scientology and helping people get up the bridge to total freedom, as they say in Scientology, or to clear the planet. That's why you end up with this flag building, the superpower building in Clearwater that just sits there. It's a magnificent edifice that sits there mostly empty. I was just in Clearwater 2 weeks ago for the first time in many years, and we drove around. There's nobody outside. There's nobody in the buildings. This building is huge, and there's nobody in it. But guess what? A lot of money was raised in donations in order to build this building and several others in the Clearwater area, and they just happen to be empty. The Fort Harrison right across the street, the original hotel that was bought in Clearwater, There's no activity around it. There's no people. When I was in Scientology, you would see people walking around the streets all the time, or even in the buildings getting services, but you don't see that anymore. The whole town and all the buildings around Clearwater are completely dead. So there's nothing going on other than just David Miscavige building a real estate empire. He's not delivering Scientology, okay? He is not doing anything to expand Scientology. He's just putting out public relations in order to keep people giving money, and that's all that's left. So L. Ron Hubbard's dream of a cleared planet that he talked about in Dianetics, the Modern Science of Mental Health on May 9th, 1950, and clearing the reactive mind of everybody on the planet, that dream is no close to being realized for those who believe in Scientology and Dianetics and L. Ron Hubbard. Be honest with yourself. Take a look around. Look, don't listen, as Hubbard used to say. You need to look and actually see what's going on. There is nothing going on. It is contracting, it's getting smaller and smaller, and who is in charge? This con man is in charge, getting wealthier and wealthier by the minute. Scientology pays for all of his expenses. He gets paid large sums of money. He's very wealthy, and he can keep his poofed up hair and the rest of his look there. But we all know that he's a con man, basically cheating people out of their money. And L. Ron Hubbard, if he was still around and came back like he said he was going to, which of course is false, would be rolling in his grave right now if he saw the state of Scientology and Dianetics 75 years after the release of the book. So don't be fooled, people. It's time to leave Scientology and leave the cult. They disconnect people from their families. They try and take total control of you. They try and empty your bank accounts. For what purpose? In order to attain total freedom? Well, that promise by L. Ron Hubbard has been changed by Miscavige. It's no longer attainable. Even the results that Hubbard promised and that actually were being delivered in the early days, they're not there anymore. It's time to leave. That's the message 75 years after Dianetics, the Modern Science of Mental Health, to all you people that are in Scientology around the world. It is time to leave and time to get your life back and take back your own individual freedom. Anyway, that's the video today for everybody. I just wanted to make that statement here on the 75th anniversary of Dianetics, the Modern Science of Mental Health. Please subscribe to our channel, Scientology Peeling the Onion. Hit that like button, hit that notification button. We interview people about Scientology, the history of Scientology, the abuses that have gone on. Janice Gillum Grady, my co-host, worked for L. Ron Hubbard daily, on a daily basis, 6 hours a day, all through her teenage years and into her 20s. And nobody was closer to Hubbard during that time. I also worked for David Miscavige the last 6 years that I was in the Scientology Sea organization. And I left when I saw that he was going off the rails and was going crazy and was starting to abuse people. We tell those stories on this channel. Please subscribe, hit that like button, and hit that notification button. If you have any questions or comments about what I've talked about here or anything else, just go down into the comment section. Please we read them all. So please go ahead and comment, ask your questions, and I'll be happy to answer them. And then if you'd like to support our channel, you can buy us a coffee. There's a link in the description below. You just click on it. It's just a way to donate to the channel so that we can continue producing these videos. We've done over 300 videos in the last 2 years, and we're going to continue. We've got many more people that we're going to be interviewing and many more stories that we're going to share. So if you'd like to support us, you can buy us a coffee, and we greatly appreciate any and all support from our loyal viewers and also from the new viewers that are out there. That's the video for today. I hope you all have a great day, and until next time, we'll see you later.